Have you ever wondered if the creatures we see around us, like birds, hold the power to connect us to realms beyond this world? What if, in the rustling of their wings, there's a deeper message, a whisper from the divine? In Africa, birds are not just animals. They are messengers, bridging the divide between the living and the spiritual realms. They carry with them the voices of ancestors, gods, and the echoes of forgotten wisdom waiting for us to listen. These birds soar above the earth, their wings beating a rhythm that resonates with the heartbeat of the universe. With every flap, they become more than mere creatures of flight. They become conduits for messages from unseen forces. The idea that birds are messengers is woven deep into the fabric of African cosmology. It's a belief that birds can traverse the boundaries between the physical and spiritual realms, delivering messages that transcend time and space. This connection between the earthly and the divine is what gives birds their sacred place in African culture. But why birds? What makes these creatures, often seen as simple beings of flight, so integral to the spiritual life of the continent? The answer lies in the very nature of birds themselves. They embody freedom, movement, and transcendence. With wings that cut through the sky, they remind us of the passage between worlds, between life and death, the known and the unknown. In African cosmology, birds are believed to be able to bridge these realms. They are seen as messengers, not just from ancestors, but from the gods themselves, carrying knowledge and guidance to those who are ready to listen. Before we embark on this sacred journey, I ask you something deeply personal. As you listen, don't just hear these stories, feel them. Let the power of these spirit birds wash over you, challenge your thoughts, and stir something deep within. When the story ends, come back, reflect. Which of these birds' messages resonates with your soul? Whose wings are you following today? Subscribe, not just to witness this journey, but to join a movement of remembrance. Like this video not for the numbers, but as a sacred gesture, a digital offering to honor the messengers that soar above us. Share this with those who still believe that the stories of old are not just tales, they are waiting to speak again. Because these spirits are not dead. They are still soaring, still watching, still whispering. Now, let's let their wings take flight. Let the journey begin. In African cosmology, the understanding of life and the universe is deeply rooted in the belief that everything, be it human, animal, or natural force, exists within a dynamic web of interconnection. It is a worldview where the physical and spiritual realms are not separate but are intertwined, constantly influencing and communicating with one another. This interconnectedness creates a living, breathing cosmos in which every being, no matter how small, holds significance. In this context, birds hold a sacred role. They are viewed as the messengers of the divine, bridging the gap between the visible and invisible worlds, between the living and the ancestors, between the here and the beyond. Birds are often seen as symbols of transcendence in African spirituality. Their ability to fly, to rise above the earth and into the heavens, gives them a unique place in African belief systems. They are creatures that navigate the boundaries of the earthly and the spiritual realms with ease, acting as intermediaries between humanity and the gods or the ancestors. In many African cultures, birds are believed to possess an innate connection to the spiritual world, able to carry messages, guidance, and wisdom from the other side. Their flight, a visual manifestation of movement between worlds, makes them one of the most revered symbols in African cosmology. The role of birds as spirit messengers extends across various African traditions. In cultures such as the Yoruba, the Zulu, and the Akan, birds are seen as vehicles through which the divine can speak. Whether in the form of a sacred bird appearing in a dream, or a bird circling overhead during an important ritual, their presence is often interpreted as a sign of divine intervention or guidance. These birds are not seen as random animals, but as intentional spiritual beings chosen to carry a message. For example, in some African traditions, the appearance of a hornbill or a dove can signify the arrival of important news or a warning from the spiritual world. Beyond their symbolic role, birds also play a significant part in rituals, ceremonies, and African oral traditions. In many African cultures, birds are present during rites of passage, ancestral worship, and healing ceremonies. Their songs, calls, and movements are seen as communication with the ancestors or the gods. In some communities, offerings are made to birds to seek their blessing or to ask for favor. Birds are also believed to help in the transition from one life to the next, serving as guides for the souls of the deceased. This belief is particularly prominent in funerary rituals, where birds are thought to carry the spirits of the dead to the afterlife, ensuring their safe passage and ongoing connection with the living. The role of birds in African oral traditions is equally profound. Stories, proverbs, and myths often center around birds and their roles as messengers or guides. In these tales, birds are frequently portrayed as wise and mystical creatures capable of revealing secrets, solving problems, or delivering important lessons. They are seen as guardians of knowledge, holding ancient wisdom that is passed down through generations. In the retelling of these stories, birds are often given human-like qualities, becoming more than just animals. They become spiritual beings that play an essential role in the moral and spiritual guidance of the community. Through these rituals, stories, and beliefs, birds have earned their place as sacred symbols in African cosmology. They are not just creatures that fly above us. They are integral to the spiritual fabric of African life, carrying with them messages that are often hidden from our mortal sight. Whether in the songs of the birds that fill the air at dawn, the symbolism of birds in ceremonial dress, or the stories passed down from generation to generation, the presence of birds in African culture is a reminder of the powerful connection between the physical and spiritual realms. In a world where so much is unseen, birds remind us that there are messages all around us waiting to be heard. Birds are not just symbolic of spiritual messages in general. Specific species carry unique and powerful meanings within African cosmology. Each bird is associated with a different aspect of life, spirit, and the universe. Whether it is the majestic hornbill, the mighty eagle, the peaceful dove, or the graceful crane, these birds play integral roles in shaping the spiritual landscape of Africa. Let's explore how these birds, revered in African cultures, embody deeper connections to wisdom, peace, life, and death. The hornbill, symbol of wisdom, communication, and connection to the divine. Among the most revered birds in many African cultures is the hornbill. Known for its distinctive curved bill and striking appearance, the hornbill is more than just a bird. It's a living symbol of communication, wisdom, and connection to the divine. In African cosmology, this bird is often associated with the ancestral realm, serving as an intermediary between the human world and the spirits of the deceased. The hornbill's call, resonant and far-reaching, is believed to echo the voices of ancestors, calling out to the living, imparting knowledge and guidance from beyond the grave. In addition to its connection to the ancestors, the hornbill is also seen as a messenger of the gods, particularly in the traditions of the Zulu people, where it is said to carry divine messages during rituals. Its powerful presence during spiritual ceremonies signifies the transmission of sacred knowledge, reinforcing its role as a channel between the earthly realm and the divine. The hornbill's symbolism of communication extends beyond the spiritual, as its ability to communicate through its distinctive call makes it a powerful figure in African oral traditions. The bird's very existence embodies the idea that wisdom is not just something passed down in words, but something that can be communicated across realms, carried through the air and beyond the veil. The eagle, a messenger between the living and the spiritual realm. The eagle, with its majestic wingspan and keen eyesight, is often regarded as the ultimate symbol of strength, vision, and spiritual authority in many African cultures. Its power and grace in flight make it an animal that is not just admired, but also deeply revered. In African cosmology, the eagle is frequently seen as a messenger between the living and the spiritual world, embodying the link between humanity and the divine. Its flight above the earth, soaring high into the sky, represents the soul's journey from the physical world into the spiritual, transcending the boundaries that separate the living from the dead. The eagle is often depicted as a spiritual guide, leading individuals through moments of transition, both in life and in death. Among the Akan people, for example, the eagle is associated with the ability to bridge worlds, acting as a guide for the deceased as they make their way into the afterlife. The eagle's vision, said to be the sharpest of any bird, is seen as symbolic of the clarity with which it can see the unseen, an ability to perceive the divine realm and the hidden truths of the cosmos. This keen sense of perception allows the eagle to serve as a spiritual messenger, delivering divine messages to those in need of guidance, especially during times of uncertainty or transition. The dove, peace, reconciliation, and divine messages. The dove is another bird of profound spiritual significance in African cosmology. Widely known as a symbol of peace and reconciliation across many cultures, the dove represents harmony, hope, and the divine message of peace. In African traditions, the dove holds particular importance during times of conflict or social unrest, as it is believed to bring messages of peace and unity from the spirit world. The calmness and gentleness of the dove make it a perfect embodiment of reconciliation, healing, and the restoration of balance. In many African communities, the dove is associated with the divine presence, representing the idea that peace and harmony come not only from human effort, but also through spiritual intervention. During ceremonial rites, the appearance of a dove often signifies the arrival of divine peace, offering solace to communities in distress. The dove's role in peace extends beyond mere symbolism. It is seen as a guide to personal and collective healing. In times of political or social strife, when the need for reconciliation is at its peak, the dove is called upon as a messenger, urging people to seek understanding and forgiveness, reminding them that peace is not just a human goal, but a divine imperative. The crane, rituals and symbolism. Tied to life and death transitions, the crane, with its elegant stature and graceful movements, holds an equally powerful place in African spiritual practices, particularly concerning the themes of life, death, and transformation. Known for its long legs and slow, deliberate movements, the crane is a bird that symbolizes the delicate balance between life and death. Its presence is deeply tied to rituals marking the transition from one life phase to another, particularly during funeral rites and ceremonies honoring the dead. In certain African cultures, the crane's movements are interpreted as a physical manifestation of the journey that souls undertake during the transition from life to the afterlife. It is believed that the crane's slow, deliberate movements mirror the careful navigation of the spirit as it moves from the earthly realm to the world of ancestors. As a result, the crane is often featured in funerary rituals, where its symbolism of transition and passage helps guide the deceased through the final journey. Its role in these rituals is not just symbolic, it is viewed as an active participant in ensuring the deceased's smooth passage into the spiritual realm. The crane also plays a role in rituals that honor the continuity of life. Its symbolic connection to both birth and death underscores the cyclical nature of existence, reminding communities that every end is also a beginning. The crane's presence in African cosmology is a reminder that the spiritual realm is not a destination but a continuum, an ongoing cycle that flows seamlessly between life and death. African folklore is a rich tapestry woven with myths, legends, and tales that reflect the deeper spiritual truths and lessons of the continent. Among the most prominent figures in these stories are birds, which are often portrayed as wise, mystical creatures capable of delivering profound messages, offering guidance, and even shaping the destinies of humans. These birds are more than just animals. They are embodiments of the divine, messengers between realms, and vehicles for cosmic lessons that transcend human understanding. From the gods themselves to the spirits of ancestors, birds serve as pivotal figures in the myths and folklore that have been passed down through generations. In many African cultures, the role of birds in myths is closely tied to their spiritual significance. The hornbill, eagle, dove, and crane, for instance, appear time and again in stories that illustrate their deep connection to the divine world. In West Africa, for example, the story of the hornbill is told in many variations, where the bird is revered not only for its physical beauty, but for its role as a messenger who brings the will of the gods to the people. The hornbill's call is believed to be a divine echo, a sound that carries the wisdom of the heavens, and in some myths, it is said to have the power to summon storms or bring about great change in the lives of the living. Birds also play an essential role in African creation myths, where they are often depicted as the first beings to emerge from the void, carrying the seeds of life and the divine word. One such myth from the Yoruba people speaks of a bird that is sent by the gods to retrieve the earth from the bottom of the ocean. The bird in this story becomes a divine agent that delivers life to the world. Similarly, in ancient Egypt, the myth of the Bennu bird, often associated with the phoenix, tells of a bird that rises from the ashes, symbolizing both creation and resurrection. This powerful symbol of renewal is deeply embedded in African spiritual traditions, where birds represent the cyclical nature of life, death, and rebirth. Beyond their roles in creation, birds also appear in African folklore as characters who guide human beings through moments of challenge, crisis, and transformation. In many stories, birds offer wisdom or reveal hidden truths to the heroes or heroines of the narrative. For example, in some East African myths, the owl is considered a wise figure, often offering guidance to those who are lost or confused. The owl's ability to see in the dark symbolizes its capacity to bring clarity in times of uncertainty, revealing truths that are hidden from ordinary view. The owl's role as a teacher of hidden wisdom makes it a revered figure in many African communities where its presence is seen as a sign of divine guidance. In other myths, birds are portrayed as protectors, warning humans of danger or carrying out the will of the gods in times of war, famine, or crisis. In some tales, birds are sent to warn villages of impending disaster or to deliver messages of hope during times of suffering. One such myth tells the story of a village that was saved from a great flood after a flock of birds arrived, signaling the coming storm and prompting the villagers to take shelter. This story, like many others, underscores the importance of listening to the natural world and recognizing the messages that animals, especially birds, are sending. Birds in African folklore are also symbols of freedom and transcendence. In the story of the creation of the world, many African cultures describe how the first birds were sent to bring order to chaos. These birds, with their ability to fly between the heavens and the earth, represent the possibility of transcending the limitations of human existence and reaching for the divine. Their flight across the sky is seen as a symbol of the soul's journey towards spiritual enlightenment and ultimate freedom. As such, birds often symbolize the longing for spiritual liberation, a desire to move beyond the physical and embrace the eternal. In addition to their symbolic significance, birds are also featured in African proverbs, which are concise, wise sayings that carry deep meanings. Many African proverbs use birds as metaphors for human behavior, social dynamics, and spiritual truths. For example, the saying, "A bird will only fly as far as its wings will carry it," reflects the idea that a person's potential is limited by their abilities and opportunities. In another proverb, "The bird that flies high will not hear the cry of the chick," signifies that those who are elevated or in power may become disconnected from the struggles of the common people. These proverbs, often shared in communal settings, reinforce the role of birds in shaping the values and wisdom of African societies. They highlight the connection between human life and the natural world, where the actions and behaviors of birds serve as metaphors for the challenges, triumphs, and moral lessons that people encounter in their own lives. Birds, therefore, are not just spiritual symbols in African cosmology. They are active participants in the storytelling tradition, carrying with them the deep, eternal lessons of the universe. Their presence in folklore and myths serves as a reminder that the natural world is alive with meaning, that every rustle of wings and every call in the sky carries a message from the divine. Through these stories, birds become more than mere creatures. They become symbols of wisdom, freedom, and transcendence, reminding us that the world around us is full of unseen forces waiting to be heard. In the spiritual landscapes of Africa, birds are more than mere creatures of the earth. They are seen as sacred intermediaries, acting as messengers that traverse the boundaries between the physical and spiritual realms. Their ability to fly, to soar above the world and into the heavens, makes them symbols of transcendence, capable of crossing the thresholds of life and death, the living and the deceased. In African cosmology, where the spiritual and physical worlds are intricately connected, birds play a pivotal role in facilitating communication between these realms, ensuring that the voices of ancestors and gods are heard and understood by the living. The belief in birds as intermediaries is especially prevalent in rituals and ceremonies, where they are called upon to serve as conduits between humans and the divine. In many African cultures, birds are thought to carry the prayers of the people to the gods, or deliver messages from the ancestors to the living. This belief is not limited to specific rituals, but is woven into everyday life. For example, the appearance of certain birds in specific locations, such as a bird perched near a home or circling a community, can be interpreted as a spiritual sign, a message from the ancestral spirits or the gods themselves. These birds are believed to be responding to the prayers, desires, or needs of the community, bringing divine messages to guide the people through their struggles, decisions, and challenges. One of the most powerful symbols of birds as intermediaries is seen in the role they play during funerary rituals and ancestor worship. In many African cultures, the passing of a loved one is seen as a transition from one world to another, and birds are believed to be the agents that guide the deceased on their journey to the afterlife. During burial ceremonies, birds are often called upon to carry the spirit of the deceased from the physical world into the spiritual realm. Their flight is viewed as a sacred passage, one that ensures the spirit's safe arrival in the ancestral world. In some traditions, offerings are made to birds during these ceremonies, as they are believed to facilitate the communication between the living and the dead, ensuring that the departed are honored and remembered. This role of birds as spiritual intermediaries extends beyond just funerary rites. In healing ceremonies, birds are also called upon to help facilitate the restoration of balance between the physical and spiritual realms. In some African communities, birds are used in rituals to heal the sick, offering their divine messages to bring about recovery and spiritual restoration. Through their connection to the spirit world, birds are believed to possess the ability to diagnose ailments and to bring healing energy, acting as intermediaries between the physical body and the unseen forces of the universe. Whether through their presence, their songs, or their flight, birds help create a bridge between the worlds, ensuring that the living are connected to the divine energy that sustains them. Birds' spiritual roles are also tied to the broader themes of cosmic balance. In African cosmology, there is a profound belief in the interconnectedness of all things, and birds, with their ability to navigate both the earthly and the divine, are seen as maintainers of that balance. They represent the flow of energy between the physical world and the spiritual, helping to ensure that both realms remain in harmony. In this sense, birds are not just passive messengers, they are active participants in the cosmic order, helping to maintain equilibrium and to prevent chaos. For example, in some African traditions, birds are believed to carry messages of warning or prophecy. Their appearance at certain times, whether in dreams, visions, or real life, can be seen as a sign that something is about to occur, a shift between the worlds, a moment of spiritual significance. These messages brought by the birds are seen as divine revelations that require careful interpretation. In such cases, the birds themselves become symbols of divine intervention, reminding people to remain vigilant and aware of the spiritual forces that influence their lives. Moreover, the bird's ability to move freely between the realms of the living and the dead aligns with the African understanding of life as a cyclical process where death is not an end but a continuation. This continuity is symbolized by birds who, through their flight, embody the ongoing exchange between the material world and the spiritual. They serve as living reminders that, although the human body may perish, the spirit endures, forever soaring through the vast expanse of the cosmos. Birds also carry with them the wisdom of generations, and in their role as intermediaries, they ensure that this wisdom is passed on. Through their flight, birds remind the living that they are never truly alone, for the ancestors, the gods, and the spirits continue to watch over them. Whether through rituals, dreams, or the appearance of a bird in a significant moment, the message remains clear. The spirit world is always present, and through the guidance of these winged messengers, humans are forever connected to the divine. As we come to the close of our journey, it becomes clear just how deeply the spirit of the bird resonates within the African cosmological worldview. Birds, with their majestic flight and symbolic roles, are not merely creatures of the air, they are sacred messengers, holding the key to understanding the unseen forces that shape our world. From the wise hornbill to the mighty eagle, from the peaceful dove to the graceful crane, these birds carry profound meanings that speak to the very core of African spiritual life. They remind us that the boundaries between the physical and spiritual realms are not as rigid as we might believe. Instead, they are porous, constantly shifting, with birds acting as the vital link that unites us with the divine. Through rituals, myths, and traditions, these birds have shown us that the messages from our ancestors and the gods are not distant echoes. They are present, ready to be heard, if only we are open enough to listen. The idea of birds as intermediaries, guiding spirits between the living and the dead, offers a powerful reminder of the cyclical nature of life and the continuity of our connection with the past. Birds not only speak of our past and our ancestors, but they also illuminate our path forward, helping us navigate the complexities of life, death, and spiritual transformation. As you reflect on the role of birds in African cosmology, consider how these winged messengers continue to influence the ways in which we perceive the world around us. Just as these birds transcend the boundaries of the physical and spiritual worlds, so too do the messages they carry. Messages of wisdom, peace, guidance, and transformation. Whether through the wisdom of the hornbill or the peace of the dove, the eagle's strength or the crane's connection to life's transitions, these birds invite us to reconnect with the spiritual dimensions of life, to remember that there is much more to this world than what meets the eye. So, as we end this exploration, take a moment to ask yourself, what messages are the birds in your life carrying to you? Which of these sacred creatures speaks to your soul, offering wisdom, peace, or a path forward? The world is full of signs, and the birds are always here, flying above us, waiting for us to hear their call. Let us listen, let us remember, and let us honor the sacred role of these messengers who carry the divine truths across the skies. If this journey into the spiritual significance of birds has inspired you, make sure to join us by subscribing, not just to follow the journey, but to engage in the ongoing conversations that shape our understanding of the divine forces around us. Like this video as an offering to the birds, the ancestors, and the gods. Share this message with those who are ready to listen to the whispers of the divine and to reflect on their own connections to the spiritual realm. Because these stories are not just tales, they are the living, breathing truths of the world, waiting for us to speak them once again. Now, as the birds take flight, let us soar with them into the world beyond.